Seems like everyone is talking about Jada Pinkett Smith these days, and despite not being the one who slapped Chris Rock at this year's Academy Awards, she is at the center of a heated debate about the moment. It seems to reveal a much larger group of people who vehemently dislike Jada Pinkett Smith. So today we'll discuss the celebrities who hate Jada Pinkett Smith. Alright, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, before we get into this video, I genuinely struggled with finding 10 or so celebrities who are outspoken about their hate for Jada. I'm sure there are tons of celebs who disagree with her parenting style or anything goes attitude. To publicly declare you don't like another celebrity is a whole other deal. So basically, if some of these are a stretch, don't come for me. Or do, whatever. Kris Jenner. Believe it or not, the Kardashian clan used to be super close to the Smith family, particularly because Kris's kids got along super well with Jada and Will's kids. In fact, Kendall and Jaden are still super close, but we never see the adults hanging out anymore. It's very likely that their friendship didn't survive the whole famous Khloe Kardashian, Tristan Thompson, Jordyn Woods love triangle in 2019. After Jordyn was exposed for making out with Khloe's ex Tristan, Jada decided to have Jordyn on her talk show, Red Table Talk, to reveal her side of the story. The interview featured a ton of sympathy for Jordyn as she said her piece about what went down. Jada and Will have known Jordyn since she was born because her father worked on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Apparently, after the allegations came to light, Jordyn came to Jada asking for help. Quote, "I just wanted her to have a platform to tell her story. That's it. She's a young, beautiful woman inside and out, and me having been a young girl, we sometimes get into situations that we don't necessarily know how to handle." It's likely that all this sympathy towards Jordyn led the Kardashian matriarch to cut ties with Jada, as they were never seen getting close after the incident. Promptly after the interview, the Jenners and the Kardashians all unfollowed Jada and Will on Instagram and vice versa. That being said, they still let their kids hang out as Jaden was spotted at Kendall's infamous controversial 2020 birthday bash. Next up is Olivia Jade. While there's no overt animosity between Jada and Olivia Jade, there was definitely some very public discussion of having her on the Red Table Talk show. After the college admissions scandal that put Olivia Jade's mother, Lori Loughlin, in jail for attempting to cheat her daughter's way into college, Olivia Jade attempted to go onto Red Table Talk to set records straight. She went onto the talk show in 2020, and Jada's co-host, her own mother, was extremely public about her distaste for Olivia's appearance. Jada's mom stated, quote, "I fought it tooth and nail. I just found it really ironic that she chose 3 black women to reach out to for her redemption story. I feel like here we are, a white woman coming to a black woman for support when we don't get the same from them. It's bothersome to me on so many levels. Her being here is the epitome of white privilege to me." And honestly, it's hard not to see her point. The whole time Olivia Jade was on the show, she just kept talking about, "Oh, poor me. I didn't realize how privileged I am, blah blah blah." And Jada's mom let her have it. She told Olivia straight to her face, quote, "There is so much violent dehumanization that the black community has to go through on a daily basis, right? There's so much devastation, particularly this year, 2020, and everything being brought to the table. There is so much inequality and inequity that when you come to the table with something like this, it's like, child, please. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with everything we have to deal with as a community, and I just don't have the energy to put into the fact that you lost your endorsements and you're not in school right now." Whoa, I can't even imagine that going over super well on the friendship mark, especially considering this public blasting was broadcasted all over. Next up is Tom Segura. While this may be more towards Will Smith, Tom Segura has held absolutely nothing back when torching the Smith family online for the Oscars slap incident. Obviously, a lot of celebrities are ticked off at Will Smith right now, but Tom definitely brought his distaste for Jada into this rant. In a series of tweets, he said, quote, "Let me tell you this, man. The idea that you're entitled thinks because your feelings are hurt, you get to one of the all-time greats because you feel, and then the cowards, the spineless cowards that are in Hollywood and comedy. We have all the lists of the guys. It's insane. It's like a gross exaggeration. You see it all the time. I mean, you see entitlement everywhere, and that was on full display for the world to see. I have zero respect for that, and I feel like more people need to come out and say it. It's unacceptable." Damn. Tom, tell us how you really feel. That being said, it's unclear if the in question is Will or Jada. It could be either or both in this situation. Either way, I doubt Tom will be invited to any Smith family dinners in the near future. Next up is August Alsina. While I think maybe this one is a bit of a stretch because it's hard to hate someone who's actively keeping you relevant, I do think that August Alsina can't be happy with how his name has been dragged through the mud with this weird open marriage thing that he was involved with. He claimed to have dedicated years of his life to Jada after they had initially been introduced when Jaden brought him home as a friend. Although the two had their affair while Jada and Will were separated, it didn't stop the actor from writing an entire album called Entanglements about her. It has also just been announced that he's going to write a memoir about his time with Jada, which I am like 99% sure is to A, keep him relevant, and B, to drag Will and Jada's name through the ringer. Next up is Sheree Zampino. Sheree Zampino is the ex-wife of Will Smith, who he had one son with named Trey. Although this feud is largely over, Jada openly admitted to really disliking her husband's ex-wife, and the feeling was very mutual. When they began their relationship, Jada and Sheree hated each other. They had a lot of issues with their blended family, which basically meant them all co-parenting the kids that they all had with Will. Zampino recalls a moment when she had to speak to Will about their son Trey, but Jada picked up the phone. Quote, "You picked up the phone and I wasn't really respectful. You basically let me know, I don't really appreciate your tone, and I was like, it doesn't matter. And you hung up on me. I called back and I happened to say, bitch, you're living in the house that I picked out." The two then shared a laugh with one another, so I guess this one doesn't really count because they've definitely made amends with one another. Despite having an extremely rocky relationship to begin with, they seem to get over it for the sake of Will Smith and their kids. Okay, this next one is just for laughs, but Will Smith. I mean, God, they must have had an extremely hard time within their marriage because Jada, for better or for worse, constantly lays it out on the table. She airs her dirty laundry with Will genuinely constantly, and a lot of fans think that the Men in Black actor is so stricken with Jada that he won't see just how inappropriate her behavior is. For example, always on her talk show, Jada insinuated that Will doesn't know how to please her in bed when she was discussing intimacy with Gwyneth Paltrow. Also openly admitted to cheating on Will, and she had an extremely intimate relationship with Tupac Shakur despite her claiming never to have dated him. I can't imagine all that going over super well, especially when we, as the ever-watchful public, know all of these things. I think it would be a much easier pill to swallow if the entire internet weren't calling Will a but here we are. And now that the Oscars slap thing happened because Will was defending Jada's hair loss, it really does feel like a house that's so full of pretension and privilege that I think people have just kind of largely given up on the couple. Anyways, listen, I know it was so tough finding celebrities who openly hate Jada. Not that she's a particularly good person, but like, why even have the public beef?
Number 10, Taylor Swift. Jared Leto caught some heat when TMZ leaked a video of him and his band 30 Seconds to Mars listening to Taylor Swift's 1989 and saying how they really felt about it. Jared was caught saying, "F her, I don't give an F about her, it's whatever works best for us." Swift's fans were obviously not too happy with what was said, and Jared received some pretty intense backlash from recording, so much so that he eventually was forced to issue a formal apology. The truth is that I think Taylor Swift is amazing and an incredible example of what's possible. If I hurt her or my fans, my sincerest apologies. The whole thing was pretty awkward. Number 9, Margot Robbie. When the Australian actress worked with Leto in 2016 on The Suicide Squad, it wasn't exactly a relaxing experience for her, but it was actually her co-star Viola Davis that first confirmed rumors that Jared had gifted Margot a pet rat on the set of the movie, and spoke about the incident to British Vogue. Quote, "I was saying loudly, 'Don't open the box.' I was halfway out the door when Margot opened the box and saw the biggest black rat you could imagine." Reports at the time suggested that Leto dished out the bizarre gift as a part of his attempts to channel the famously deranged Joker character. He has since denied the story and instead claimed that he gifted Margot with some sweet treats. He told GQ, quote, "It's also interesting how this stuff takes on a life of its own, but I never gave Margot Robbie a dead rat that's just not true. But even Margot confirmed that she had been given the rat in an interview with Jimmy Fallon. At first I thought this was disgusting, but then after that I was like, I'm not gonna kill him. So I ended up keeping him as a pet. Despite the fact that she eventually warmed to the rat, it's easy to see why she wouldn't be jumping to do another movie with Leto after his crazy antics. Number 8. Robert Pattinson. While it's true that every actor has their own process to get ready for a role, method acting often goes into uncomfortable territory, and even Robert Pattinson believes there's such a thing as going too far. Quote, I always say about people who do method acting, you only ever see people do method when they're playing a-holes. You never see someone being lovely to everyone while they're really deep into a character. While he didn't reference Leto specifically, his comments certainly created some tension between the two DC actors, as Jared is known for his reliance on method acting, especially for his role as the Joker, when he took it to the extreme. In fact, he took his role so seriously that he didn't even speak to his co-star Will Smith outside of filming for their parts, as a way to connect with his character. Leto would also send wildly inappropriate gifts to his co-stars, such as dead animals, objects that are meant to be used in the bedroom, and items that seem highly contaminated, all in the name of creating a dynamic. Jared himself tried to justify this on set behavior by saying that the Joker is somebody who doesn't really respect things like personal space or boundaries. But what was the point of disturbing his co-stars to such a degree when the movie was a critical flop anyway? Number 7. Dylan Sprouse. In 2018, the then 25-year-old actor slammed Jared Leto for allegedly sliding into several young models' direct messages on Twitter. Sprouse directed the tweet at Jared's creepy behavior and questioned his success rate with young models. He wrote, Yo, Jared Leto, now that you've slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what would you say your success rate is? As you would have predicted, the tweet totally blew up and many people were happy that he was finally getting called out. While it's unclear what incident prompted Dylan's message, the 30 Seconds to Mars frontman did not seem up to the challenge of responding. But when more and more allegations started piling up against him, people were not happy at all after the actor posed with pop star Olivia Rodrigo at the Grammy Awards. At the show, the two of them posed together for a few photos that have since gone viral, one of them shaking hands and one of them showing Jared's hand on her waist. Twitter users criticized the show's decision to invite him to present given the current allegations. Number 6. Lindsay Lohan. This one is really strange, but it turns out that the star of Mean Girls is not exactly a fan of Jared Leto. When it was announced that Jared was set to play the Joker, there were some pictures of his character that were released ahead of the film. According to Contact Music, Lindsay took to Instagram and posted a picture of Jared Leto as the Joker, right next to a picture of the Crow played by Brandon Lee, with the caption, "Who wore it better?" She then posted a question that seemed directed right at Jared, which said, "Who based his whole music and film career on the film The Crow?" Lindsay then went on to condemn the Suicide Squad film as a whole, commenting that a Suicide Squad film is not helping the world but hurting people. Anger is not the answer for peace. Although she would eventually delete the post, she made it pretty clear that she feels Jared somehow ripped off Brandon Lee's aesthetic and copied his film career. We're talking, of course, about Bruce Lee's son, who tragically died in an accident involving firearms on set. He was only 28 years old at the time and was beginning his acting career. Although it was a bizarre accusation, neither Jared Leto nor anyone involved in the movie seemed to respond to Lindsay, which was probably for the best. Number 5. James Gunn. The Guardians of the Galaxy director was quick to join in on the hate train against Jared Leto when he replied to Dylan Sprouse's initial tweet criticizing the actor for only going after 18 to 25-year-old women. James Gunn replied saying, "He starts at 18 on the internet?" Although his tweet has since been deleted, many users managed to grab a screenshot beforehand, and notes that this was not the first time James had tried speaking up about Jared's predatory behavior either. In fact, in June of 2015, the director reportedly did a live stream on the video app Periscope, in which he made similar remarks about the actor's habits of sleeping with people that are underage. And in 2012, he tweeted, "Driving home from Vegas trading stories about what a D Jared Leto is." He later deleted this as well, but it's become very clear that he does not think highly of the actor at all, and genuinely believes that he is a creep. Which might be the reason why he never considered reprising the Joker for the Suicide Squad. Jared's take on the DC villain was introduced in David Ayer's Suicide Squad in 2016, but he failed to make the cut in James Gunn's sequel, because according to the director, quote, "I just don't know why the Joker would be in the Suicide Squad. Squad. He wouldn't be helpful in that type of war situation, which does make a certain sense. Number 4, Will Smith. Playing Deadshot in 2016's Suicide Squad really gave Will Smith an opportunity to make friends with the entire cast over the course of the 6 months that the film was shot. But when it came to Jared Leto, Will Smith said that he never met him on set. Instead, all he got was the Joker. Will told Beats One radio show, quote, "We worked together for 6 months and we've never exchanged a word outside of action and cut. We've never said hello, we've never said good day. I've only ever spoken to him as Deadshot and him as the Joker. I literally have not met him yet. Not a single word exchanged off camera. He was all in on the Joker." But 6 months of filming sounds grueling on its own, which is why Will allegedly wasn't happy putting up with Jared's inappropriate pranks on set. All in all, it sounded like it was just another case of Jared's method acting gone way too far. Number 3, Joel Kinnaman. During a press tour, the actor was asked about his thoughts on 2019's Joker, and that's when he decided to throw some shade at Jared Leto. Joel Kinnaman quickly aired his thoughts on Leto's performance. As the clown prince of crime, before raving about Joaquin Phoenix's takeover. When asked if making the new Joker film was cheating on Jared, he bluntly replied, "No? Who?" He then went on to praise the new Joker film instead, saying, "Joaquin just crushed it. I mean, wow, he's incredible. He's such an actor." It's surprising to see something that has that kind of performance that has a DC wraparound because it's a real art film. I think he's really one of the best of all time. Joel Kinnaman, who played Rick Flag in David Ayer's original Suicide Squad, also seemed to favor the second film, the one that didn't include Jared Leto. Quote, "When I saw the film completed, I felt, yeah, this was what the first film set out to do." It really does make sense that he feels this way though, considering that the first movie was universally hated and torn apart by critics, whereas its sequel has received almost universally positive reviews and achieved a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's easy to see why he prefers that version. Number 2, Daniel Espinosa. The only thing that one can say about Morbius is that it's certainly a movie. That's something that director Daniel Espinosa would probably agree with, given that he had to deal with Jared Leto's so-called method acting for his role as Dr. Michael Morbius. So what did he put the director through exactly? Well, in order to prepare for his portrayal as Marvel's very first on-screen vampire, Jared would reportedly remain in character for the duration of the shoot, even pretending to be disabled in between takes and using his character's crutches even on his bathroom breaks. While speaking to Uproxx magazine, Espinosa confirmed this and even revealed that Jared's technique became a problem on set as he would take too long to move around between each scene. Apparently, he had to be given a wheelchair to move around for the sake of speeding him up because his ridiculous antics were actually wasting a lot of time. Number 1, Joaquin Phoenix. Just how annoyed was Jared Leto with Todd Phillips' Joker in 2019? Well, the movie ended up grossing more than $1 billion against a budget of around $60 million. Not only that, but it garnered international praise, mostly for the incredible performance from its Joker, played by Joaquin Phoenix. But the film's success was allegedly a source of embarrassment for Jared Leto, who tried to have the film shut down ahead of its production. According to sources familiar with Jared's behavior, when the Oscar-winning actor learned of the Phillips project, he not only complained bitterly to his agents at CAA, but reportedly asked his music manager, Irving Azoff, to call the leader of Warner Brothers and get them to kill the film. We now know that obviously didn't work, and for whatever reason, that same year Jared ended up parting ways with his manager. THR previously reported that Jared thought Warner Brothers had strung him along with the promises of his own Joker standalone film, only to greenlight the Phillips version with Joaquin Phoenix instead. So it's easy to see why Jared felt threatened with the success of Joker, but anyone in Joaquin's position would just want the chance to portray the villain in their own way, and shouldn't have to prioritize someone else's ego before they take on a role.
In at number 10, Baby Rexha. Baby Rexha is in the middle of Rita Ora and Dua Lipa's feud, and she thinks the feud will most likely never end. She's always tried to keep the peace between the women, and she's even pushed hard for a collaboration with all of them, but it seems that Dua is standing in the way of this. While speaking to The Sun, she said about their dynamic, quote, "I have really tried. I don't know what's really going on there or what the drama is. I've tried to always be the peacekeeper and bring the girls together." Rexha later walked back her comments and blamed the competitive nature of the music industry on their feud, saying, quote, "It's weird because I know how it is to be a girl and sometimes we can get really competitive. And I'm not even talking about me, Dua, Rita, and Ava, I'm just talking about females in general. What happens is there's not enough women at the table. Rexa added that because she believes the music charts are so male-dominated, it leaves women musicians with an unspoken competitiveness between them. These comments came after the 2019 Met Gala, where it was widely reported that Dua and Rita avoided each other. In at number 9, Rita Ora. It's long been rumored that Rita Ora and Dua Lipa do not like each other, even though they have so much in common and even knew each other before they were famous. At first, Dua used to look up to Rita, but then she got tired of being compared to her. Their feud was made clear at the 2019 Met Gala, where both Dua and Rita were in attendance. A source close to Rita told The Sun that the women had to avoid each other, saying, quote, "Rita is desperate to avoid confrontation and went out of her way to make sure they didn't come face to face." The feud between them started way before Dua Lipa was famous. Since they grew up knowing each other, Dua reached out to Rita's sister, Alina Ora, for help with her career when she was just starting out. Apparently, Alina refused to help, and Dua felt it was because she did not want Dua to become a bigger star than her sister Rita, which definitely did end up happening. The feud continued when Rita Ora was replaced by Dua Lipa in an Adidas campaign. Rita tried to mend things when she tagged Dua in a post she made about putting Kosovo on the map. Rita tagged many famous celebrities who were from Kosovo for support. Every other celebrity tagged, commented, and shared this post, other than Dua. In at number 8, Taylor Swift. We all know that Taylor Swift and Kanye West despise each other and have been in a long and heated feud since Kanye stole the mic from her in 2009. So how is Dua Lipa involved? Fans thought that Dua was a Taylor fan when she was pictured wearing some of Taylor's merch while doing a sound check. Taylor also took this to mean that Dua was a fan and commented on this post, writing, quote, "I'm screeching with joy." However, the love affair did not last long between Dua and Taylor, because Dua later chose Kanye over Taylor when she was playing a game in an interview. The question was simply to choose Taylor or Kanye, and because Dua prefers Kanye's music, she chose him. Instantly, Taylor's fans were up in arms, claiming that Dua took Kanye's side in their beef. Dua cleared it up on an episode of Watch What Happens Live when she said, quote, "I wasn't thinking about their beef, I was thinking about their music, and Taylor is amazing, but I'm such a hip-hop fan that I would probably choose Kanye over anyone." In at number 7, Calvin Harris. Calvin Harris may have exposed what a diva that Dua Lipa really is. At the time of the 2019 Brit Awards, Dua was in her prime and got tons of nominations for the show. But after the show, the Daily Mail reported that insiders claimed that she was a total diva at the award show. The Sun reported that Lipa was reportedly, quote, "furious after being given a dressing room close to the other guests who were eager to talk to her." Apparently, her dressing room was right beside the beauty spa, so tons of people were around this area before the show. However, the singer made it clear that she didn't want to be there after other guests kept coming in to say hi and wish her good luck. Because everyone kept coming to talk to her, she reportedly slammed her door shut and took her name tag off her door so people would stop bothering her. What made things even worse was that Calvin Harris was situated pretty close to her, and his dressing room was somewhat of a party. He let people in and was welcome to anyone who wanted to celebrate, making her look even worse. In at number 6, James Charles. Dua Lipa and James Charles have a long history of feuding, with multiple shady tweets back and forth between the celebrities. It all started in 2019 when Dua attended the American Music Awards. Pictures of Dua at the event were then posted to Twitter, which is completely normal. But things got shady when James chimed in and replied to the photo saying, quote, "I thought this was me." Even though this wasn't the first time the pair had been compared in the past, fans immediately went on the attack. Some replies read, quote, "the audacity," with another adding, "delete this tweet immediately." Even though Dua herself did not do anything, we can assume James was not happy with that whole situation and blames Dua's fans for this response. Having number 5, Article Sound System. One of Lipa's biggest hits is her song Levitating off her Future Nostalgia album. But just weeks ago, a small indie band called Article Sound System sued Lipa, stating that she stole their song to make Levitating. The song they believe she ripped off is their 2017 track, Live Your Life. The band claims that they have been touring since 2010, with that song being a staple in their onstage performance since 2017. In the suit, the band claims that Dua and her collaborators, quote, "listened to and copied Live Your Life before and during the time when they were writing Levitating." The band did not give any specific proof that they heard the song before making Levitating, but they believe the songs are way too similar for it to just be a coincidence. At first, everyone thought that this was just a simple money grab and the band was doing this to become more relevant. But after the songs were compared side by side, it's hard to ignore the glaring similarities. As of now, Dua nor her legal team has made any statements on this matter, but it seems they will be leaving their comments for court. And at number 4, L. Russell Brown and Sandy Linzer. After the first lawsuit against Lipa started to gain traction, songwriters L. Russell Brown and Sandy Linzer filed their own lawsuit, claiming Levitating also stole from their song. They believe the song is a duplicate of the melody to their 1979 song Wiggle and Giggle All Night and their 1980 song Don Diablo. The lawsuit alleged, quote, defendants have levitated away plaintiffs' intellectual property. Plaintiffs bring suit so the defendants cannot wiggle out of their willful infringement. Their main argument is that in past interviews, Lipa admitted she deliberately emulated prior eras and took inspiration from historic music from the retro sound of the 2020 album, Future Nostalgia. The suit also claims that their song is featured in the most prominent part of the song that went viral on TikTok and led to the song's global success. Claim that without their influence on that portion of the song, it would not have went viral. Dua has not commented on the claims in this suit. And at number 3, celebrities against traveling. In 2020, the majority of the world was asked to stay inside and not travel. During this time, many celebrities took to social media to share what life was like for them while they were stuck at home. Dua Lipa was one of these celebrities, and when governments asked citizens not to leave, she came online and supported the decision, telling her fans to do the right thing and to not socialize or travel. But shortly after, she was called out for being a hypocrite. During this scary time, Dua was traveling all over the world without a care. She was also with her boyfriend Anwar and a group of her friends. Fans took to the comments to call her out for the hypocrisy, with many saying her words were empty and she clearly did not believe she should stay at home. One fan tweeted about the situation said, quote, Dua Lipa having the audacity to tell us to stay home when she's been in about 4 different continents. Dua did not respond back to the criticism and continued to travel despite it. And at number 2, Anwar Hadid. Dua and Anwar dated for 2 years before calling it quits on December 23rd of 2021, after rumors that their relationship was crumbling. Rumors started when gossip page Dumois posted a screenshot from inside claiming the couple were 100% broken up. Shortly after, The Sun confirmed these rumors. Their source claimed, quote, Dua and Anwar are currently taking a break from their relationship and are spending time apart. They're figuring things out right now. According to The Sun, Dua and Anwar's relationship hit crisis mode due to their packed work schedules, so they decided to take some time apart. The source added, quote, their relationship is going through a crisis and appears to be on the rocks. Then weeks later, the breakup was confirmed by both celebrities. We know confirmation who made the decision to end the relationship, but many Dua fans believe she ended the relationship because of Anwar's overbearing family and strong controversial beliefs. And finally, number 1, Ed Sheeran. Dua Lipa offended some men in her industry when she stated that women are held to a higher standard when it comes to concerts. In an interview with British GQ, Dua Lipa stated that women have to be athletes as much as singers, but men are not held to the same standards of showmanship. I remember going to a show by a male artist that actually doesn't do anything on stage, and they got this stellar 5-star review. But then you have women who get up on stage and they're practically doing cartwheels, costume changes, it's a spectacle, and then reviewers nitpick every little thing. Continuing that women are forced to do everything on stage to have an entertaining performance, while men only need to get up and sing. Even though Dua did not name any specific artists, many felt this could be a dig at Ed Sheeran, as his concerts get great reviews and he hardly does anything other than sing with his guitar. There's a chance he was offended by her comments.
Number 10, Mariah Carey. This celebrity feud is legendary, so it's only fair that we start off with this one. J-Lo and Mariah Carey have been at each other's throats since the early 2000s. In fact, most people remember the iconic line that Mariah told a German reporter, "I don't know her." Although it sounds hilarious, Mariah has maintained her negative opinion of J-Lo all these years. For example, an interviewer once asked her what she thought about Beyonce and Jennifer Lopez, and she responded by saying that they don't even belong in the same category for a very specific reason. Well, it's hard. You can't really put those two people in the same category because one is in a really different generation. They just started singing later. But when you talk about Beyonce, I think she's wonderful. She's great. She's a talented person. But it seemed that she forgot to compliment J-Lo as well. A few years later, Carey spoke to Andy Cohen and doubled down on her comments. Quote, "I don't know her. What am I supposed to say? It looks like it'll take a miracle for these two iconic performers to ever be on good terms." Number 9, Rihanna. There are several celebrities who can't stand Jennifer Lopez, but one of the biggest critics of the iconic singer is Rihanna. These two former best friends had a serious falling out in 2016 for the oldest reason in the book. They were fighting over the same guy. Before the feud began, Rihanna and J-Lo were friendly to each other and had no reason for animosity. but trouble started brewing right after Rihanna and Drake broke up. They had a summer fling that same year, which was pretty casual, but it definitely still counted. Girl code was broken when J-Lo started getting close with Drake almost immediately after. But the feud really became public when Jennifer posted a photo of her and Drake hanging out backstage at her show in Las Vegas with the caption #LoveHim. In fact, the two were even spotted hugging, and fans quickly realized that something very shady was happening. An inside source close to the star said that Riri felt like she had suffered the ultimate betrayal and called Jennifer's behavior desperate. It must have been accurate because in December of 2016, she suddenly unfollowed Lopez on Instagram. Number 8. Gloria Estefan. Cuban-American superstar Gloria Estefan was originally supposed to be performing at the 2020 Super Bowl alongside fellow Latina pop stars J-Lo and Shakira, but after seeing J-Lo's new documentary called Halftime, where the singer went on a rant about having to share the stage with Shakira, Gloria put her comments on blast. She didn't seem to agree that it was the worst idea ever to have the artist share the stage, and explained why Lopez got it wrong on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. Quote, "Look, this is the bottom line. You have very little time, like 12 minutes or something, to get things on and off the set. So could you do it with one person? Yes. But I think they wanted to throw a Miami and Latin extravaganza, and they tried to pack it in as much as possible." The Grammy Award winner also confirmed that she chose not to participate for a reason, seeing as J-Lo got so worked up about having two people perform. Quote, "Okay, and imagine what J-Lo would have said if I was the third. I literally would come out, done a shake your booty and out." But she went on to insist that it was their moment and that she didn't want to go on a diet in December anyway. Number 7. Nick Cannon. The Wild 'N Out star took a cue from his ex-wife Mariah Carey's famous phrase to throw shade at Jennifer Lopez during his guest appearance on The Wendy Williams Show. While discussing Hollywood crushes during the Hot Topic segment, the 41-year-old first named Carey, his ex-wife and mother to their two twins, Moroccan and Monroe. Quote, "Number 1, Mariah, the amazing mother, superstar, singer." He then went on to name Halle Berry and Naomi Campbell as his second and third choices. A producer then suggested J-Lo as an option, and he just responded with, "I don't know her." After the audience erupted into laughter, the host added, "That was a joke for the lambs. Shout out to the lambs," as Carey refers to her fans as the Lamely. Cannon made it clear who he supports in the ongoing battle of the divas, and naturally he sided with Carey, so we can't really fault him for that. It's been a bit of a running joke for years that Mariah wasn't kidding and didn't actually know J-Lo personally when she gave that interview, but it was too late to clear the air, as the classic "I don't know her" line has gone down in history as one of the best ways to shade someone. Number 6. Rosie Perez. Both Jennifer Lopez and Rosie Perez have served as inspirations to the Latin community for over 2 decades, but they haven't always gotten along. They met back in 1991 during an open casting call for In Living Color. At the time, Perez was the show's choreographer, and Lopez was auditioning to become a member of the dance troupe known as the Fly Girls. Her audition was unsuccessful, but Perez saw a star quality in J-Lo and actually pulled some strings to get her in. But after she was in the group, it became clear that Lopez didn't get along with her fellow dancers. According to Perez, she was labeled as a diva right away. "All of the girls were coming into my office and complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me, all to her advantage." Perez said that at first she didn't believe it, but then J-Lo screamed at her saying, "I know I'm good, I'm better than any of these girls and you know it." What's worse is, after J-Lo left the show and made it big in the music industry, she went on talk shows trashing her former choreographer. Perez also implied that J-Lo ghosted her. Quote, "I called her up, she wouldn't pick up. Frustrated, I left her an irate message on her answering machine. Instead of calling me back and hashing it out like friends do, she went on a major talk show and reiterated my lashing." Number 5. Brandy. Brandy has had a public feud with Jennifer Lopez since 2017, and according to Kiwi Report, she made it clear that she supports Mariah Carey going against J-Lo too. Basically, she posted a photo of herself on Instagram hugging Carey with the hashtag #SheKnowsMe. The caption was super perfect and a great reference to that famous "I don't know her" comment. So the whole thing tells us that Brandy is totally teaming with Mariah. Brandy's post exploded on social media and Lopez fans immediately took offense to it. Mariah saw the backlash and chimed in to Brandy's photo, commenting with a simple "I sure do." But the singer was quick to defend herself from hate comments and edited the caption shortly after posting it with, quote, "Oh my god, what happened? I swear to goodness, I don't know what the fuss is about. I love this pic and now everyone thinks I'm throwing shade. At who? This is funny, can't take this one down. I love this picture, and whenever I'm throwing shade, it's not questionable. You know that I am." She totally doubled down on dissing Jennifer and siding with Mariah, adding, quote, "Also, I've met her several times. Like the several seats that should be taken, she does know me." Number 4, Nicki Minaj. These two have allegedly been feuding since 2012. It all started when Nicki was performing on one particular episode of American Idol at the same time that J.Lo was sitting on the judge panel. In a rather awkward moment, Nicki asked if she could come back on the show as a guest judge and asked J.Lo to scoot over. As a Latina artist hit back, she said, "I don't know if there's room for both of us." It was one of those joking moments that seemed like there was something else behind it, but nevertheless the two seemed to be just joking around, even though Nicki told a reporter backstage, quote, "She didn't seem to be having it, but she's gonna have it." Okay, so now we're jumping to 2015 when fans swear that Nicki shaded J.Lo for performing her song at the American Music Awards. As she was performing a small part of Anaconda, the camera cut to Nicki in the audience looking less than happy with the rendition. The clip showed her emotionless face and made it seem like she didn't approve of the way her song was being used. Number 3, Ryan Seacrest. This incident gives Ryan every reason to hate J.Lo because it's pretty bad. Ryan Seacrest worked alongside the singer on American Idol and the two quickly became friends. But all that seemingly changed when the talk show host revealed that he flew down to Miami to celebrate her milestone 50th birthday, only to be denied entry at the door. Ouch. He recalled the whole story on Live with Kelly and Ryan and explained that he flew down from New York for only a few hours because he had to make it back in time for the next morning's show. But when he finally arrived, the doorman told him, "You're not on the list," to which he responded, "Clearly, there's a mistake. She invited me personally." But upon being denied, he checked the list and couldn't find his name. The doorman just asked him to wait, made a quick call, and was able to confirm that Seacrest was indeed on the guest list. But the host went on to say that he was the first person there and no one really got turned up until after he left. It would have certainly been a little embarrassing to say the least. Number 2, Cameron Diaz. Throughout the years, Jennifer Lopez has been known to speak negatively about her fellow actors, and it looks like it may have come back to bite her. During an interview in the late 90s, J.Lo explained that Cameron Diaz was just a lucky model who was given opportunities. She did mention that Diaz can be good when directed, but Lopez's past comments about Cameron's career allegedly made things super awkward between them when they both had to buckle down and work together in the 2012 comedy What to Expect When You're Expecting. Several anonymous sources on the set of the film claimed that the two stars did not get along at all during the shoot. In fact, it was reported that Cameron said the singer was a nightmare to work with. Quote, "She even said that Jen should stick to her day job, meaning American Idol and singing." According to The Insider, J.Lo demanded to eat at specific times, no matter what, and stops working when it suits her, and she had her assistant run over to her with food. This is what allegedly drove Cameron crazy. Another source claimed that the co-stars actively avoided one another while filming, and tensions were thick. Number 1, Ojani Noah. The former couple were married on February 22nd, 1997, and got divorced barely 1 year later, in January of 1998. It was so long ago that you would think Ojani has moved on from the relationship, but apparently he's still holding on to a bit of resentment. In fact, Jennifer's former flame was out to make a buck off their brief marriage by trying to expose revealing videos from their honeymoon. Ojani was even hauled into court after he started planning a tell-all movie based on the revealing home footage called How I Married Jennifer Lopez, the J.Lo and Ojani Noah story. The result? Well, she sued him for a whopping $10 million and demanded a permanent court order blocking her ex from making any videos public. Ojani also threatened to write a tell-all book unless he was paid $5 million by by the singer. His unpublished book alleges that J.Lo had multiple affairs, including one with Mark Anthony during the 11 months that they were married. But a judge was not having it and awarded her $545,000 in damages and quashed the book, ruling that it violated a 2004 deal not to publish details of their relationship. Her team calls the movie an outrageous attempt to make money and received substantial compensation. So it's clear that he's still a little bit bitter. Number 10. Christopher Titus. The American comedian did not hold back when it came to criticizing Will Smith for the initial incident at the 2022 Oscars when he walked on stage and slapped Chris Rock for joking about his wife Jada. Titus took to the podcast Christopher Titus TV and openly spoke about his disdain for the actor. Quote, "Watching the arrogance of Will Smith that night, I think that Will Smith probably believes he can do anything. In fact, many comedians took particular issue with Chris Rock being attacked, arguing that they should not be afraid for their own safety on stage, just because they like to tell risky jokes." But Titus did not find Will's latest YouTube apology to be sincere either, and was among the many Twitter voices that condemned the video as fake and self-centered. Quote, "Will Smith has lost me again. Dude, Chris said he'll contact you when he's ready. Why are you pushing him? You attacked a man on a global broadcast. You don't get to pick the redemption schedule, and by doing it publicly, you made it about you again." So it seems like Titus doesn't think Will deserves a get out of jail free card just yet. Number 9. Morgan Tremaine. Known for his explosive testimony during the Johnny Depp vs. Amber Heard defamation trial, former TMZ journalist Morgan Tremaine garnered international praise for his infamous, quick-witted comeback to Heard's lawyer Elaine Bredhoft. But Tremaine once again was able to articulate what many people were thinking about the latest apology video from Will Smith. According to the producer, the video appeared more like a PR stunt than a genuine apology. Quote, "This Will Smith apology video has PR team written all over it. They're testing the waters to see how the general public feels about him. Nothing to do with Chris." There might be some truth to how Tremaine feels though, because apart from the obvious product placement, the apology also serves another purpose, as Will is now starting to make big moves in an effort to have a career comeback, which has suffered quite a bit due to him being cancelled. It's been revealed that Smith is planning to star in a sequel to one of his most iconic movies, I Am Legend. So it makes sense that what we are now seeing is the actor slowly trying to rebuild his reputation in Hollywood. Number 8. Chris Rock's brothers. Chris's brother Kenny Rock told the LA Times that he would like to see the Academy take back the Oscar that Will won that night. However, what gets to him most about the entire incident is that he has continued to watch it play out on TV over and over again, and there's nothing that he can do. Quote, "It eats at me watching it over and over again because you've seen a loved one being attacked and there's nothing you can do about it. My brother was no threat to him and you just had no respect for him in that moment. You just belittled him in front of millions of people that watched the show." Tony Rock, who was actually close with Will at one point, called out the actor during a comedy show. Quote, "If you think you're gonna walk up on this stage, this ain't the mother effing Oscars." He threatened to fight back if Will ever tried the same thing with him. In fact, the Oscar winner addressed Tony during his apology video. Quote, "I want to apologize to Chris's family, especially Tony Rock. You know, we had a great relationship. You know, Tony Rock was my man, and this is probably irreparable." That seems to be the case, as one Twitter user asked if the actor approved of Will's apology, and he simply responded by saying no. Number 7. The View. Smith received a hell of a lot of criticism for the slap itself, but a lot of people really seem to take issue with the video apology that he released a whole 4 months after the incident. The ladies on The View spoke about how disappointing it was to see Will Smith upload a 5-minute video addressing what is actually a really serious issue, considering it happened to Dave Chappelle too that same month. The hosts voiced their opinion about the Oscar slap and spoke about Will's apology video not long after it was released. While they unanimously agreed that it was a good first step, they said it simply wasn't enough to make good with Chris Rock. Alyssa Farah Griffin said, "I think he's got to go further, and even the fact that he didn't do this in more of an interview format where he might be challenged with some tough questions, I was a little surprised by." She then went on to say that it's a lot easier to say something scripted to camera than to ask, "What was your motivation? Why didn't you then apologize in your acceptance speech?" Alyssa feels Smith should have sat down with Oprah because then she would have challenged him. Joy Behar also agreed with her and thought he should have come on The View instead. But it's clear that they felt the video format of the apology made it much too easy for him to evade criticism. Number 6. Megyn Kelly. The veteran journalist believed that Smith made it all about himself at the Oscars when he walked on stage and slapped his longtime friend. Megyn Kelly was super critical of his actions that night and felt that the actor simply saw an opportunity to make himself appear as the tough guy standing up for his partner. She said that most guys would have handled it after the set and spoken to the comedian backstage. stage. Then Kelly insisted that Smith used his 2 minutes on the world stage to defend his actions when he should have been apologizing immediately for how he acted. Quote, "It was a defense of him losing his temper. He should have got up there and he should have said, 'I'm very sorry for my bad behavior. I apologize to Chris, to the other nominees, and to the people whose attention I've wrongly dragged away from them on what would be their greatest night of their lives.'" Well, does she feel any differently now? Not really. In fact, she recently called out his newest YouTube video on the Megyn Kelly show and reiterated her comments, this time suggesting that Smith is only sorry now because he has a new movie coming out, so he really needs that public forgiveness to ensure its success. Number 5. Bill Maher. The comedian and television host made it pretty clear that he despises Will Smith on several occasions, most notably on one episode of his talk show Real Time with Bill Maher, which aired on April 1st. Bill reacted to the explosive outrage against the actor at the time. Quote, "To Will Smith, stay strong and I got your back," before following it up with, "April Fools, you're a D." Maher went on to say that he couldn't feel sorry for Pinkett Smith because according to him, comparing a woman to Demi Moore looking her hottest is not exactly the worst insult he's ever heard. Then he made a pretty controversial comparison. Quote, "I mean, alopecia is not leukemia." And no, he has not changed his opinion since. In fact, in another episode, Bill did a revived edition of Explaining Jokes to Idiots where he made fun of cancel culture, the increased attacks against comedians, and called Will Smith humor impaired. He then said that it comes down to doing crowd work while hosting the Oscars. Celebrities should try to be a good sport and allow themselves to be made fun of for 1 minute. The politically incorrect alum even noted that Chris Rock's joke was initially received as funny by the audience, including Will Smith, who was initially spotted laughing before he decided to do anything else. Number 4. Wanda Sykes. She co-hosted this year's Oscars along with Amy Schumer and Regina Hall. So comedian Wanda Sykes really saw everything unfold firsthand on Hollywood's Night of Nights, and she had a lot to say about it. Right after the Oscars, she addressed Will Smith's actions. Quote, "For them to let him stay in that room and enjoy the rest of the show and accept his award, I was like, how gross is this? This is just the wrong message," before joking that she wanted to be able to run out after he won and say, "Unfortunately, Will couldn't be here tonight." And while performing a stand-up comedy show in Orlando, she brought it up again, saying, "I'm still traumatized. I couldn't believe he was still sitting there. Shouldn't you be sitting there with a lawyer or LAPD?" She added that he hopes he gets his life together, but until then, F him. Wanda clearly hasn't changed her opinion of Smith. In fact, while appearing as a guest on a recent episode of Live with Kelly and Ryan, they asked her if she'd be open to hosting the Oscars again, and she just said, "Oh, hell no." To be fair, she did happen to co-host the most dramatic Academy Awards ceremony in recent history, as she recalled the incident again. Quote, "So everybody's just gonna sit here? I was like, the show just kept going on, and I looked behind the curtain and he's still sitting here. What is happening? What is going on? It was crazy. It was just bizarre." Number 3. Sharon Osbourne. In an April interview with the Sunday Times, the former talk co-host expressed her opinion on the Oscar incident. Osbourne made the comparison when explaining the hypocrisy she sees where some people are too scared to make judgments to a person's face about their behavior, but will do so behind a computer screen or behind their back, and used the recent Oscars incident between Will Smith and Chris Rock as an example. Quote, "When he wins Best Actor award, everybody stands up. It's like, you're such hypocrites. You're going to go home and say how disgraceful his behavior was, but you stand up and give him a standing ovation." But most controversially, she then went on to compare Will Smith to Hitler, insinuating that no matter how horrible someone is, the industry will still try and find a way to make money off of them. Although her experience isn't exactly like Will Smith's, Sharon Osbourne dealt with plenty of criticism of her own, following her comments on the talk over the Piers Morgan and Meghan Markle feud. After a heated discussion with her and the talk show co-host last year, she was fired from the show by CBS, so she's no stranger to backlash herself, but clearly she didn't mind comparing Will Smith to possibly the worst person who ever existed. Number 2. Rosie O'Donnell. The comedian actually compared Will Smith to former President Trump, blasting the Oscar winner as a narcissistic madman who isn't being held accountable for slapping Chris Rock during the Oscars. O'Donnell took to Twitter to condemn Smith for the stunning confrontation at the 94th Annual Academy Awards. She wrote to her more than 1 million Twitter followers, quote, "We watched him do it. Then, like the Trump years, we don't hold anyone accountable. Shame on us, shame on Will." O'Donnell made it very clear that she believes that the Oscars had failed everyone by not publicly denouncing Will right after the incident occurred and still allowing him to accept his award. But comedians do tend to stand together on this issue, and she went on to praise Chris Rock for his composure after he was attacked on stage. quote, "So upsetting on every level. Bravo to Chris Rock for not eviscerating Will Smith, which he could do any day of the week. He walked away from a sad display of toxic masculinity." Those words sound pretty harsh, but it's very clear that she absolutely hates Smith for his erratic behavior that night, and the message it sends to other comedians. And coming in at number 1, Chris Rock himself. The comedian has not publicly commented directly on the slap, including in the wake of Smith's recent video apology, which was directly addressed to him. Instead, Chris Rock chose to use comedy to speak about the incident. During his apology video, the actor insisted that he's reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, which couldn't be more apparent. He first brought it up during a stand-up set at London's Royal Albert Hall. Quote, "I'm okay. If anybody's wondering, got most of my hearing back." He followed that up with, "Don't expect me to talk about the BS. Your tickets were expensive, but not that expensive." Rock also referenced the incident when Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage near the end of his performance during the Netflix Is a Joke festival. When talking about the assailant, the comedian said, "I thought that was Will Smith." After the recent apology was posted, Rock continued to make jokes while on stage in Atlanta. Quote, "If everybody claims to be a victim, then nobody will hear the real victims. Even me getting smacked by Suge Smith, I went to work the next day. I got kids." He also added that anyone who says words hurt has never been punched in the face. Gotta love his take on that.